In the 1850s, life in the United States was characterized by a blend of tradition, optimism, and societal changes. Let's delve into the details. Lifestyle and daily life. Farming. Most people lived on farms, following seasonal rhythms. They grew their own food, tended to crops, and raised livestock. Traditional homes. Homes were typically wooden structures, often with a central fireplace for warmth. Families lived together in close quarters. Customs and traditions. People adhered to customs passed down through generations, emphasizing family values and community ties. Economic growth and opportunity. Americans were optimistic due to economic growth and territorial expansion. The nation seemed full of opportunity, especially for white, male, and Protestant individuals. Social trends and reform movements. The 1850s saw the continuation of reform movements that had arisen earlier. These included temperance, advocacy against alcohol consumption, abolitionism, the fight against slavery, women's rights, advocacy for women's suffrage and equality, internal divisions. The debate over slavery and sectional differences became more pronounced, leading to the tragic Civil War. Life expectancy. In 1850, the life expectancy at birth was approximately 40.4 years for white males and 43.0 years for females. By age 5, these figures increased to 50.1 and 51.2 years, respectively. Treatment of others. While Americans shared common principles, they didn't always agree on interpretation. The nation grappled with conflicting loyalties, especially during the Civil War. Despite differences, there was a prevailing sense of unity and hope for the country's survival. In summary, life in the 1850s was a mix of tradition, optimism, and societal challenges. People lived close to the land, adhered to customs, and navigated the complexities of a changing nation. Certainly. Let's explore some key differences between the United States in 1850 and the United States in 2024. Inflation and purchasing power. In 1850, $1 had significant purchasing power, equivalent to about $40.20 today. Over 174 years, inflation has eroded the value of the dollar, making it worth much less than it was back then. Today, $1 only buys approximately 2.488% of what it could purchase in 1851. Elections and political climate. In 1850, the nation was on the brink of the Civil War. The election of Abraham Lincoln as president in 1860 intensified tensions between the North and the South. The South believed that Lincoln's policies threatened their way of life, leading to secession. In 2024, the political landscape is different, but divisions persist. Elections continue to shape the country's direction, and debates over values, policies, and societal issues remain central too. Climate and environmental awareness. In 1850, climate change was not a widely recognized issue. Industrialization was in its early stages, and environmental concerns were not prominent. In 2024, the world faces urgent climate challenges. Awareness of global warming, extreme weather events, and the need for sustainable practices has grown significantly. Efforts to combat climate change are a priority 3. Technological advancements. In 1850, technology was limited. The telegraph, steam engines, and basic machinery were cutting edge. In 2024, technological advancements have transformed society. We have the internet, smartphones, space exploration, artificial intelligence, and medical breakthroughs. Communication, transportation, and daily life have been revolutionized. Social progress and civil rights. In 1850, slavery was legal in many states, and racial segregation was widespread. Women had limited rights, and LGBTQ+ rights were non-existent. In 2024, significant progress has been made. Slavery was abolished, civil rights movements fought for equality, and landmark legislation protects individual rights. However, challenges persist, and the fight for justice continues. Population growth and urbanization. In 1850, the U.S. population was around 23 million. Most people lived in rural areas, engaged in agriculture. In 2024, the population has surged to over 330 million. Urbanization is widespread, with major cities driving economic, cultural, and technological development, healthcare and medicine. In 1850, medical knowledge was limited, and diseases often led to high mortality rates. In 2024, healthcare has advanced significantly. Vaccines, antibiotics, surgical techniques, and preventive care have improved life expectancy and quality of life. Education and literacy. In 1850, education was not universally accessible. Literacy rates varied, and formal schooling was limited. In 2024, education is a fundamental right. Public schools, universities, and online learning platforms provide education to millions. Literacy rates have risen significantly. In summary, the United States has undergone profound changes over the past 174 years, from economic shifts to technological revolutions. Social. In the 1850s, American fashion for both men and women was characterized by colorful, exuberant styles and luxurious fabrics. Let's focus on women's clothing during this period. Silhouette and skirts. The fashionable silhouette for women in the 1850s featured a small waist, drooping shoulders, and a voluminous skirt. The iconic dome-shaped skirt was the highlight of 1850s women's wear. It had fullness evenly distributed and steadily grew in size throughout the decade. Multiple petticoats supported the large skirt, sometimes up to 7 at once. These petticoats included crinolines, which were stiffened with horsehair. In 1856, the cage crinoline, a device with concentric steel hoops, was introduced, allowing skirts to reach even greater proportions. Bodices and sleeves. Dresses were typically made in 2 pieces, a separate skirt and a matching bodice. Sometimes a skirt would have 2 matching bodices, one for daytime and one for evening. The long, dropped waistline of the 1840s rose to its natural position by 1853, resulting in a more comfortable fit. Daytime dresses featured high necklines, often with wide white collars. The bodice might have V-shaped bretelles extending from the center waist to the dropped shoulders. Sleeves evolved from narrow-fitted styles to wide, open pagoda sleeves. These were often trimmed with bows and fringed epaulets. Passementerie trims like fringe, tassels, ribbons, and braids adorned both bodices and skirts. Basque waist and hairstyles. The basque waist, a jacket-like bodice extending over the hips, was especially fashionable. Hairstyles featured a center part with side curls and a bun worn at the back. Modesty and femininity. Women adhered to a highly restrictive dress code, emphasizing modesty and femininity. Ankle-length dresses with multiple layers were common, often featuring corsets to achieve an hourglass figure. Sleeves covered the arms, and high necklines prevailed. Overall, the 1850s marked a transition from the long torso styles of the late 1840s to more comfortable and voluminous skirts, reflecting the changing times and technological innovations in clothing. Certainly, in the 1850s, men's fashion in America was characterized by a blend of formality and practicality. Here are some key aspects of men's clothing during that time. Everyday wear. Men typically wore suits for everyday occasions. The frock coat was a popular choice. It was fitted along the torso and flared at the waist, ending roughly around the knees. Trousers were fashionably worn in a straight cut. The lounge suit coat was introduced as a sporting coat, favored for its loose fit one. Colors and patterns. Striped or checked trousers were common, often in relatively bright colors. With the invention of aniline dye in 1856, these colors became even more vivid and, on occasion, rather garish. Formal attire. For more formal occasions, men would wear tailcoats or dress coats. These coats had a more structured fit and were often paired with waistcoats, vests, and cravats, neckties. The top hat was a staple accessory for formal wear. Accessories. Men wore high-collared shirts with detachable collars. Bow ties and cravats were popular neckwear choices. Gloves, cane, and pocket watches completed the ensemble. Fabrics and materials. Wool was the primary fabric for suits and coats. Linen or cotton shirts were common for warm weather. Accessories were often made of leather or silk. Hairstyles and grooming. Men typically had short, well-groomed hair. Beards and mustaches were fashionable, often trimmed neatly. Overall, men's fashion in the 1850s reflected a balance between elegance and practicality, with an emphasis on tailored suits and attention to detail.